blues fans. Glad you found us. Time for another episode of This Week in the Blues. It's our weekly take on blues history. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen, with the blues band Big Train and the Loco Motives. So let's take a look and see what happened this week in blues history.
Blues singer, songwriter, and guitar player Luther Allison was born August 17th, 1939 in Widener, Arkansas. Although some accounts suggest his actual place of birth was Mayflower, Arkansas. Now, Allison was interested in music as a child and during the 1940s toured in a family gospel group called the Southern Travelers. He moved with his family to Chicago in 1951 and was high school classmates with Muddy Waters' son. Now, he taught himself guitar and began listening to blues exclusively. 3 years later, he dropped out of school and began hanging around outside blues clubs with the hopes of being invited to perform. Now here's a great story. Sister Ola Mae Terrell was born August 18th in 1911. When she was 11 years old, while attending a tent revival, she experienced a salvation experience. She taught herself to play the guitar and began writing gospel songs and singing them on Atlanta's vice-ridden Decatur Street from the 1930s to the 1950s. In 1953, she recorded 5 tracks for the Columbia label. They were miscategorized and didn't sell, and her contract was canceled. Though she seemed to have disappeared from the world at large, her music stayed around. One song was used in an off-Broadway play. Sister Terrell had checks waiting, and the music publisher couldn't find her. She was finally found in a nursing home in Conyers, Georgia, where the money provided some material comfort for those last years. Blues singer and songwriter Barkin' Bill Smith was born August 18th in 1928. Now, Barkin' Bill is a jewel of pure Chicago blues. Now, stylistically, he was close to the great Joe Williams, whose warm, reassuring vocals have always been like a friend, so to speak, as well as the other singers, Percy Mayfield, Jimmy Witherspoon, Big Joe Turner, Wyone Harris, Brooke Benton, and other crooners and shouters from the 1940s and 50s. And while he borrowed liberally from other songbooks, he was himself entirely an original for nearly 50 years. He was given a stage name from Homesick James in 1958 after the pair had worked together. Soul blues singer Earl Gaines Jr. was born August 19th in 1935 in Decatur, Alabama. Gaines moved to Nashville, Tennessee as a teenager and found employment as both a singer and occasional drummer. Gaines met Louis Brooks, who had a recording contract with the XLO label. Their joint recording, It's Love Baby, 24 Hours a Day, peaked at number 2 on the U.S. Billboard R&B chart in 1955. It was Gaines' biggest hit, but his name was not credited on the record. Gaines became part of the 1955 R&B Caravan of Stars with Bo Diddley, Big Joe Turner, and Etta James. Their tour culminated with an appearance at New York's Carnegie Hall. In the following decades, he performed live and recorded with limited charting success. In 1975, Gaines left the music industry for almost a decade and a half to work as a truck driver. He finally re-emerged in 1989 with the album House Party. Blues drummer Uncle John Turner was born August 20th in 1944 in Port Arthur, Texas. He played with Johnny and Edgar Winter, eventually convincing Johnny to ditch R&B covers and start a full-on blues band, also featuring bassist Tommy Shannon. He played around the state, and after returning to Austin, Turner's role as one of the house drummers and Adtones and the Armadillo World headquarters enabled him to sit in with Junior Wells, Willie Dixon, Albert Collins, Johnny Copeland, Muddy Waters, Freddie King, Lightnin' Hopkins, and B.B. King. Earlier in his career, he even jammed with Jimi Hendrix. Southern soul singer Sir Lattimore Brown was born August 20th in 1931. He was a regular on the Chitlin circuit from the early 1960s and performed with Fats Domino, Ray Charles, Otis Redding, Etta James, Jackie Wilson, and Muddy Waters, but later faded into obscurity, with several publications believing he had died in the 80s. In his obituary, the Daily Telegraph labeled Brown soul music's unluckiest man due to the many personal tragedies he experienced throughout his life. Go out to our social media pages and you'll see the whole list, and it's quite a list. Delta blues fiddler Henry Son Sims was born August 22, 1890. He was born in Anguilla, Mississippi, and learned to play the fiddle from his grandfather. After serving in France in World War I, he joined his childhood friend Charlie Patton in a recording session in June of 1929 in Grafton, Wisconsin. Sims returned to working on a plantation until August 28, 1941, when he accompanied Muddy Waters in a recording session under the direction of Alan Lomax. Sims also accompanied Robert Nighthawk on several occasions. He continued a solo career until the 1950s. The king of the boogie, John Lee Hooker, was born August 22nd in 1917. He was beloved worldwide as a king of the endless boogie, a genuine blues superstar whose droning, hypnotic one-chord grooves were at once both ultra-primitive and timeless. He rose to prominence performing an electric guitar-style adaptation of Delta blues. Hooker often incorporated other elements, including talking blues and early North Mississippi hill country blues. He developed his own driving, rhythmic boogie style, distinct from the 1930s and 40s piano-derived boogie-woogie. Hooker was ranked 35 in Rolling Stone's 2015 list of 100 greatest guitarists. Piedmont blues guitar player and singer Carolina Slim was born August 22, 1923 in Leesburg, North Carolina. His real name is Edward Harris. Now, he learned to play the guitar from his father and later found work as an itinerant musician around Durham, North Carolina. Carolina Slim's best-known records are Black Cat Trail and I'll Never Walk in Your Door. He used various pseudonyms during his brief recording career, including Country Paul, Jammin' Jim, Lazy Slim Jim, and Paul Howard. He recorded only 27 songs, and the details of his life outside of the music career are hard to find, and the reasons for the use of different names are unclear. R&B bandleader and piano player Sonny Thompson was probably born on August 23, 1916. Now, I say probably because there's some confusion over both his birth date and even his birth name. You can check out the details on our website. Now, here's what we do know. He began recording in 1946, and in 1948 he achieved 2 #1 R&B chart hits, Long Gone, Parts 1 and 2, and Late Freight. The follow-ups, Blue Dream and Still Gone, also reached the R&B chart. He had some R&B top 10 success with the singer Lula Reed, the biggest hit being I'll Drown in My Tears. They ended up getting married sometime in the early 1950s. He continued to work as a session musician and to perform with Reed into the early 1960s. Canadian blues guitar and harmonica player and singer and songwriter Big Dave McLean was born August 23rd in 1952. Now, in 2019, he was awarded the Order of Canada for his musical influence of Delta and Chicago blues and for mentoring blues musicians. Billboard noted that Big Dave's been the quintessential behind-the-scene bluesman. He's done more to shape the Western Canadian blues scene than perhaps any other artist. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. Now, if you want to know more about these artists or the other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or go out and visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. Now, we'll have a brand new episode next week, and it's going to be a good one. So, we'll see you then.